What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Core Podcast covering all things Apple TV Plus. My name is Jim, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Luke and Kyle. And today we continue our coverage of Apple TV Plus's Murderbot. Today we are covering Season 1, Episode 5, titled Rogue War Tracker Infinite. Luke, Kyle, which one of you guys want to go first? What do you think of this episode?
I'll jump in. It just feels weird every time we do these because we were saying this before the podcast. Like, it almost feels like I wish the Apple was dropping two at a time. Like, I want to talk about more because we just get breadcrumbs this whole time and mostly reactions to what happened in the previous episode. But this one, I probably took the most notes I've taken of any of the Murderbot episodes besides the pilot. It was just mostly not world building, but like plot building here, where we're starting to identify that, like we've been theorizing, the group comes to the consensus that there's a third faction out there, which I think we're all on that train because this new character, Labibi, who was cracking me up and then was also sketching me out at times. We'll talk about her a lot, of course. She kind of confirmed that their group was part of Corporation Rim. Like, she was from that group, meaning unless she is like a spy or she is the one that helped orchestrate the destruction of Deltfall, I think that's almost confirmation that it is a third faction, and she could be like lying to us, and that's fine. We can talk. We'll have that conversation when we have it. But I do like that it seems that this third sec or this rogue sec unit that infiltrated Deltfall is like the culprit, being the third party that we've been talking about. Who knows if that's like a rebellion that's going on against Corporation Rim, if it's just aliens from the future, if it's just a whole different species of human, like who knows? It could be anything. But I do think that we're making some strides in getting this group to come together. I know Guro was being a little bit of a hard ass this episode, but strides were made. I think they proved to Murderbot that they're friends. And I don't know how he's taking it himself. It's taking it itself. It's growing, but also proving that Murderbot's unwilling to like hurt them without any reason. So that's nice. So what do you guys think?
I just like that we're at a point now where Murderbot, being rogue, having hacked its governor module, is now
sorry about that, guys.
information that's out there, and the crew can respond to it. And I'm glad that it's kind of been confirmed that Men's is like, you're part of us, as long as you want to be. We can figure out once we get to safety what you want to do with your plans, but it's not going to be us that says anything to the corporation about any of this stuff. So we'll see. I'm just so interested in how Murderbot's thoughts, goals, mission change. I know we talked about that in the last podcast episode of what's really going on here. Like, would it, given all options out there, just sit and watch TV? Or is there something that it can pursue that's larger than that? And I don't know, man. I mean, I think I would really love if, and I've brought this up before, but the love interest of what might keep it around. And if it's Labibi, I will absolutely love that relationship.
Oh my gosh. No freaking way, man. That is hilarious. I literally am going to say and mirror exactly what you said, Kyle, when it comes to Seki is who I'm going to be calling it from now on. No, but seriously, it is so refreshing to have Sec Unit Murderbot Seki be able to talk openly and everybody know that the governor module is now broken, and it was having pretty candid conversations with Mensa as the episode goes on, and even it was saying like, okay, like I'm not against this. Like it was saying, all right, this is how it works in our serials, like in our TV shows that we're watching. This isn't bad. Like it doesn't say that he loves it, but I personally was very much so enjoying it, and I think it's going to be awesome conversations now going forward. I know this was probably a little bit of a tough episode for you with Guro, Luke, but I liked Sec Unit throwing him up against the wall.
Oh, badass. That was really awesome. He's like, I don't like you. And just like stands up when he could have the whole time is really cool. But I did call that when they took him back there. First of all, I was all on team like they shouldn't revive him. He's instantly going to kill them. And I'm happy that that's the narrative Murderbot was giving us. He's like, these idiot humans should not turn me back on. There's no reason I wouldn't just kill them right away. And the workaround, which makes sense, we talked about it, was that Gura was going to use his augmentations to actually prod and figure it out, which also led to the byproduct of the reveal that the governor module was hacked. Fantastic pacing. It's been right in line with this whole show. And I do think it was a step in the right direction for Gura, knowing that, well, one, everybody trusts him. Two, like he has the autonomy. Everyone trusts it. It has the autonomy and is still not attacking people. So maybe that'll go a long way for Gura. And obviously Mensa is such a diehard fan of Murderbot. Like in every way, Mensa is trying to empathize and connect with Murderbot. And it showed in that little bit of a character growth moment where Murderbot says, conversations don't suck.
Yeah, and I do think that, Kyle, I'm not sure that it's going to be Labibi, and I'm not even positive it's going to be fully Love, but I really do think that right now, if Murderbot had a choice, it would probably just watch TV. But I think the progression of this television show will be that there becomes something more for Murderbot to care about throughout the episodes and the seasons, and we're getting there. I think Mensa is having these conversations, and again, Murderbot is used to its programming to protect the people that, for lack of a better term, purchased it. And whether it's used to that or not, it still completely always chooses to protect these people. And that is one of the main reasons why the group, minus Gura a little bit, decide that they like it and they trust it and it's a part of the group. And I do believe that Murderbot is going to become friends with these people and decide itself without, it's given a choice, and it's going to stay with the group whenever this thing is revealed, whatever this third party is, rebellion, whatever this storyline is revealed to be. Murderbot's going to decide that this is its reason not to just be watching TV at all times.
Yeah.
And Labibi's coming too, you're saying?
Labibi, let's just talk about Labibi, okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was at first getting the total she was in on it vibes, right? But then they're giving you the total like she's just cray. Like, I don't know. Like the group before was like, you're gonna clean and you're gonna do the laundry and we can't trust you. And you saw how she acted with Gura, and Gura's like, get the hell out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I can't read it. I mean, obviously you can fake that if you're just trying to blend in. There was a few times where she's being sketchy, and I'm like, is she being sketchy and watching Sec Unit because she's actually sketchy, or is it because that's her character, and that's why she kind of quote unquote annoyed the other group, and she's, Gura saying get the hell out of my face, and Sec Unit saying get the hell out of my face.
I would have been heavily on team that she's the enemy, or I wouldn't even say the enemy, part of the reason Deltfall fell, if it wasn't directly for the scene where she tries to kiss Murderbot and then apologize. Like that was, because I agree, like we don't know the level of seriousness they even are going to try and portray in the villains of the show. We don't know how deep it's going to go. So this could be what we're going to get, this type of humor, but also she's going to backstab them. But I think they took it a scene too far in making her goofy and like fun and like whatever feeling she has for Murderbot. So I'm very in on she's just a weirdo that might just be humor that sticks around and joins the group, which is totally fine with me because I like her enough.
And this is a certain type of humor. This is obviously a certain type of humor, whether it's Alexander Skarsgård as Murderbot or just any of the characters individually. It's not in your face humor, but it's the awkward, goofy, funny kind of humor in that way where, I mean, I'm enjoying it, of course, but Labibi is just, she's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say, speaking when Luke said the words, but speaking as deep as you want it, that was hilarious.
Yeah, right.
She's just sitting there and she's like, press the balls to vibrate. Almost made me laugh like really loudly out loud. I was like, holy shit. That was so funny. And they're like, and then she says, like, I don't know, if you've thought of that. I'm sure you've thought that way. And then Arata's like, no, I don't think I've ever actually thought that way. She's too busy thinking about Rati, who also had a fantastic comedic episode. It seems like he feels. Entourage is the one thing I'm thinking of like if Sec Unit is Vinny Chase, he's just almost like Turtle, where he's just like, yeah, that's my boy, like like my friend Sec Unit, like
my friend Seki, baby.
It's so funny. And when he's talking to Pin Lee, and he's like, we should name our kid after Sec Unit. Like, why not? It's not a bad name. And
yeah,
I think I'm gonna move towards Labibi and Murderbot shipping, and I'll leave my Pinley is actually a secret Sec Unit theory a little bit in the dust. Although I will say, when she's saying didn't want to make me think about kids or anything about kids, and I'm thinking like, is because she can't have kids, because she doesn't have a reproductive system, because she's a Sec Unit, so it's a Sec Unit.
I will say this, Kyle. If they're in a throuple and if they're having relations, if it's like Sec Unit and it's not the Comfort Unit, Pinley wouldn't be able to do those things, and I think the throuple would be aware of that.
Maybe it's a Comfort Unit.
Could be a rogue Comfort Unit.
Yeah, not a rogue Comfort Unit. They know. They just don't talk about it. But it was interesting too with the Mensa. I mean, because it's more likely what you were thinking, Jimmy, with when we had this conversation about, Mensa giving orders and Pinley being like, not cool. But she even says to kind of Gura here when Mensa and Murderbot are leaving to go to the emergency beacon of, if I don't come back, or in the meantime, all these things, like Pinley is first among equals. So it seems like they do have a bit of like an established hierarchy that way. Because Mensa even says too makes the decision, Murderbot, like, join the crew. We want you on the crew. And Gura's like, how is this consensus? And she responds with, we'll reach it eventually. So it is kind of just a sweeping decision being made there.
So there was a comment on, I forget which Murderbot video, because we've been backlogging and we've been ahead. I forget if it's the third episode or the second episode. Someone did confirm, I don't think this is a spoiler at all, that Mensa is the leader of Preservation Alliance. So with that in mind, I want to couple that with something that we learned this episode, which is you can infer based on Labibi's reaction about Preservation Alliance that at first she didn't even remember it was a thing. So in terms of world building, Preservation Alliance is tiny and it's not that big of a deal. So if it is like a stand-in for like a hippie commune, which we can go with, Mensa is the head and leader, and the idea is equality. But when push comes to shove, like, you need to have somebody to step up, and that's her. So I think that's pretty much what they're trying to get across. And now with that perspective, I think it all kind of ties together and makes sense. I just thought Preservation Alliance to me felt like a multiple planet system that was all working together, but it's probably just a group of people that came together on a random planet that's not in Corporation Rim, and that's totally fine. They didn't sell that to me in the first couple episodes. It would have, you needed peripheral information.
And I do want to say, for anybody listening, I know, and we know, that sometimes when we cover television shows that are based on book series, we do have someone who has the book knowledge, like Wheel of Time, Game of Thrones, etc. But we also have other scenarios like Silo, and Murderbot, of course, where we don't have the book knowledge. And a lot of the times we do that so we don't get spoilers. We don't know anything. And we have had comments saying, why don't you do your research, and why don't you find out, who is who and what is what. And we've been burned many times by researching IMDb or Wiki, etc., on something that we think is little, and then all of a sudden it's a huge spoiler. So just give us a little leeway if you're a book reader and you want us to know more, because we're purposely doing this so we want to watch with fresh eyes, just like everybody else. But I mean, I was there with the theory that Mensa was high up in Preservation Alliance. I don't know that I was going to say the head, but probably, and again, if it's something small, then makes sense.
Yeah, and it probably contributes even more so than we would figure to this part of her character that they've shown us a little bit with the panic attack stuff. She has a lot of anxiety that she seems to carry. So, will we get more maybe of a commentary on that? Who could say? I mean, it seems like leading into this next few episodes, at the very least the next episode, it's going to be her and Murderbot potentially stranded in the wilderness of this desert, let's say. And what are they going to end up doing? I mean, they left us almost with the idea that the conversations are kind of nice to have. Menza really likes just talking to Murderbot, and maybe it'll come around to the concept of doing so and ingratiate itself further with Menza, and then by proxy the group, and then we'll have the group figuring things out with Pinley leading the way over there. And yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest question now is just sitting in this idea of like, what is this third party involvement? It feels like it's at a point where like we almost don't know enough to even guess.
So,
they talk about how someone from Corporation Rim or the corporation, could have been involved in the sense of just like being bribed to hide their presence, more so than it actually being something of sabotage towards the group. So I just kind of seems like we're in a bit of a holding pattern with that stuff.
well, is Murderbot an unreliable narrator when it comes to his analysis of Corporation Rim? Because he goes and says this isn't them that took down the emergency beacon, and which prompts them to then turn around and say, okay, well, let's go hit the emergency beacon. Sorry. Murderbot says they didn't take off the regular beacon that would allow them to talk to Corporation Rim. So they're going to go to the emergency one to turn it on, which is how the episode ends. Are we just blindly going to trust that Murderbot is correct, that Corporation Rim is, because it sounds like we're on that side and we're all in on the third party being the enemy. So I think it all ties. If you have any, you guys have any hesitancies about like Murderbot being the one to give us false information, because he wouldn't know if they were trying to corrupt the everything to do with Preservation Alliance. So it sounds like we're all on the same page that we're probably going to streamline right towards a third enemy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I think for Murderbot's perspective, it's conjecture in the sense of it has a general level of awareness of like what the Corporation Rim would actually do if it wanted to sabotage, and it's not seeing any of the signs of that. So I think I trust its analysis from that perspective for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, unless we're saying Murderbot has a chance of being a villain, then
that'd be cool twist.
Yeah, that would be a crazy twist. But I think that Murderbot's obviously a protagonist, or will be, and then it would have to be faked out or really unreliable. So no, I'm going to stick with I'm going to trust Murderbot in the things that it's saying. But I don't want to gloss over, because I was laughing. This was one of my laugh out loud parts of the episode. So Murderbot is basically offline, but see, this is a little bit of what confuses me. So when Murderbot's offline and it's narrating, it's the same way it was narrating when its head was unassembled and in, when they were doing the flashback. And I'm like, is Murderbot actually processing this? Because there's another line where Murderbot says, I'm glad I was knocked out for this. So is it like just the narrator of the story, or is it telling us as it's seeing it? It's just a little bit confusing. But either way, Murderbot's offline. And then I believe besides Gura, it's Bardwash is bringing it back to life and getting rid of the strands from the override. So then it's immobilized, and everyone's arguing and talking about if they can trust it and all this stuff. And then Gura's saying how it could just be bullshit, and it could be code. It could be some kind of secret conversations with the corporation or an enemy when it's talking about all these TV shows. It's got to be something like that. It doesn't actually enjoy these TV shows. And then they test it on Sanctuary Moon, and then it comes back out, and they're like, oh, that's such a deep cut. That is such a deep cut. We trust it. That's a great episode.
that made me crack up. And then the other part where it's Labibi references the other show, which is the name of the episode. It's like Rogue War Tracker Infinite, and whatever Labibi says, like, such a great show, and he comes in, no, it's not, or like whatever he says, he undercuts it right away.
She says no,
he says it's a shitty show, and then she goes, it's such a great show. Like right after. I think that's the order of events. But that got me cracking up too. Yeah.
I trust Murderbot.
I trust
in his show watching, in his stamp of approval.
Probably a shitty show.
That's true.
I need some more Sanctuary Moon episodes.
But it
Murderbot will probably
was.
be great on the core podcast. So much content watched.
I
Probably
truly
actually a
don't
little
think
awkward.
like there's not much left to talk about for this episode, but just as you mentioned, Bardwaj, like BW, I think Kyle coined her name. This is her first time back, I think, in a while, and it was nice to see that she was going to bat for Murderbot right away. Like she was the first one to stick up for it. So, but that's pretty much it for content of this episode. I don't even know how much we can else we can theorize on either. Do you guys have any other things you want to bring up?
Honestly, no. I mean, I kind of covered all the bullet points that I had, the few amount of quotes that I wrote down, although maybe the final comment I could make on this Labibi Murderbot shipping, maybe it's twofold of it's clearly not into it in the moment, with the response to the kiss being melt me down now. We'll see how that changes. Maybe there's some TV watching they could do together, or maybe there's an episode of Sanctuary Moon upcoming that changes his mind on the concept of love and kissing, maybe at a general level. I could see that happening. And the second one is that I feel like Aubrey Plaza would have nailed the role of Labibi. That's just absolutely no disrespect to the woman that is playing her now. She's great too. I just couldn't help but feel like Aubrey Plaza would have nailed this role.
I agree with that. That would be pretty funny. And I need to ask you, Kyle, is this a Labibi thing? Like irony, hilarity that you're choosing this, or are you feeling something already?
Well, I had talked about it a few episodes ago of
No. I mean Labibi specifically.
Well, it's just the first time we've had an interaction where someone or something seems genuinely attracted to Murderbot. So it's the first inkling of a potential romance. So I'm going to jump on it because I had talked about potentially romance coming into play of the choices Murderbot will make about what to do with its freedom.
Well, let me ask you this question then.
No.
We find out that oh, damn, Kyle. We find out that Murderbot is having this conversation with Mensa. We know Mensa overshares constantly throughout these episodes. She does say that she has offspring. She has children. I don't know if she's got a oh yeah, she's got multiple husbands. But is there a chance, Kyle, that Murderbot saves her, crash landing, and like you said, they're stuck together and they have to converse, and there's a connection there?
I could see it, especially from the angle of Gura seems to have a crush on Mensa himself.
Gura would have a problem.
Just deepening, that rivalry. I mean, it seems like when Gura and Mensa had that conversation where she says, Pinley will be first amongst equals, and I'm glad you're here. And it felt like Gura was awkwardly going to like open up and say something until Murderbot totally gets in the way of it. It seemed like purposely as well. So that would add an interesting wrinkle to that relationship.
That was great, awkward acting by Alexander Skarsgård. Where he's like, "We have to go," like right in the middle of them, and you could say Gura was trying to get something out, and Gura's just like, "Oh, great, whatever." Like,
Jimmy, let me ask you real quick, because the whole time I was thinking Labibi, the actor or the actress, looked exactly like Chelsea Peretti, the Gina from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I could see that. That. I was getting some vibes where I was thinking I recognized her, and obviously I'm gonna go ahead and try to check, and it's probably not gonna show up because actually I am not going to check just in case there's a spoiler with Labibi in the books or anything like that. So, but I do know what you're saying. Otherwise, Murderbot found the Murderbot does. It's not its fault, I'm assuming, but it's always kind of like at the very last second that danger percentage just shoots up, and it's like, oh shit. Either way, the danger percentage, however you want to say it, shot up 86, 89, 100. It jumped in the way and grabbed at Mensa to try to save her. I'm gonna definitely go ahead and hope that it does save her, and then I do think that will be we'll get some answers. I feel like we're going to get some answers next episode because Who blew up the beacon? They're going to have to start giving us something. We're halfway through the season. Mensa and Murderbot, hopefully, if she's alive, they'll have some good conversations. Maybe Murderbot will warm up to that, and they'll be on a little bit of a spy mission here trying to figure out who the hell blew up the beacon. I feel like answers are coming, and I'm ready. I mean, like I said a million times, these 22-minute episodes are refreshing just because it's in and out and you're getting it done, and it's like you're pounding content just like Murderbot does. But at the same time, you do want more. But I feel like this pace is very good. We're halfway through, and there's a lot of people saying that we just have to understand. And again, we appreciate everybody commenting and everything, but we just have to understand that the book is literally like 300 pages or something. So
it's crushing Apple charts. It's always up on the
yeah.
top
Oh yeah.
shows.
And
I'm
so
on a binge. It's probably the best too. Like we're breaking it down. Like we're used to deep diving every scene and things like that, and like deep talking theories. And right now, this isn't that type of show yet. But I'm sure, like if we were to just step back and do a podcast on the whole first season, we would have had those type of conversations. It's just we're taking a microscope, we're zooming in, and as long as everybody else is liking it, we'll keep doing it. And it seems like it's doing well for Apple. Did it get greenlit for a second season? Did we already talk about that?
I don't believe it has yet.
Okay,
But
I might be
Apple's
mixing
usually
up
good
with another
about
show.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, 300-page book, 10-episode season. It's it's going to move fast. So 5 episodes, 20 minutes each seems to be about right. So otherwise, guys, we will be back, of course, next week with episode 6 of Murderbot. We are loving every single interaction, YouTube comment, jumping on the Discord, all of the above. Keep on commenting, guys, on the Reddit as well. We have a blast talking to each and every one of you. Otherwise, we're covering, like I said, Foundation on the Core podcast. We are currently covering season 1 with me and Kyle watching for the very first time. If you're a huge sci-fi fan, we are having an awesome time covering Foundation. It is one of my favorite sci-fi shows in a very long time. I'm not going to put words in Kyle's mouth, but he's giving me the nod. Yes, he agrees. So we'll be jumping on season 2 starting very, very soon. And then, of course, season 3 will be a July 11th. So it's all coming up quick. So join the fun with us. Otherwise, one last thing, the Binge Empire podcast, go check that out. It's covering, if just finished with The Last of Us, covering everything non-Apple TV. Dexter Resurrection is coming. Squid Game is coming. A lot is coming. Once again, we are the Core Podcast covering all things Apple TV Plus, and thank you so much for listening.